Welcome to the DFS Express Podcast, your stop for daily fantasy sports talk, including slate breakdowns and industry commentary. Let's go to the host of our show, the Daily Fantasy Sniper.
What's up, everybody? Today's episode is a slate breakdown for UFC London. Our main event is Till versus Masvidal. If you are a regular DFS MMA player, remember this card starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, going a little earlier on ESPN+. There are pros and cons to it being earlier. Pro, obviously, is we'll get to sleep a little bit. Con, at least for me, I have stuff to do during the day, so I might not be able to watch all the prelims. But either way, it's a pretty good card. It's a good GPP card for DraftKings. Before we get in and break down the fights, please like, comment, subscribe wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. You can, you can subscribe on iTunes. If you leave a 5-star review on iTunes in the month of March, you'll be entered into a contest to win a free DFS Army t-shirt. DFS Army is a sponsor of this podcast. Make sure you go to dfsarmy.com. Use the code SNIPER to get 20% off VIP membership. It is all the tools you need as a daily fantasy player, a different type of community than what's out there. You get access to all our coaches in VIP chat, coaches' notes, sheets, articles, research station, domination station, which is an optimizer. All great tools there. dfsarmy.com, code SNIPER for 20% off. You can also give me a follow on Twitter at the DF Sniper. And I do appreciate, especially on YouTube, trying to get up to 300 subscribers this year. iTunes is slowly picking up. So thanks for all the support, guys. I really, really do appreciate it. That being said, let's get in and let's talk some fights. Our first fight of the night is Nad Narimani, 8,900, taking on Mike Grundy at 7,300. A lot of live underdogs on this card. For me, Mike Grundy is one of them. Narimani, good all-around guy. His strength is probably his wrestling. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He beat Khalid Taha in his UFC debut, and last time out won against Anderson Dos Santos, who was a short notice replacement. Mike Grundy, though, he trains with Darren Till, which actually it isn't a huge plus for me. It's, I think, why he's getting the call so early, but he is an exceptional wrestler. If he wins, he's going to score very well on DraftKings. By the way, the line is moving in his direction. Mike Grundy, 7,300, he's plus 125. We get some odds value there. Wrestling-based great game plan. I don't think that Nad Narimani is going to finish him on the feet. I think Narimani slightly better, but Grundy's timing and takedowns are so good. I think that's the biggest edge in this fight. I'm actually going to pick the underdog to win the fight, and either way, I do think he's the better DraftKings play at 7,300. All right, next up, Molly McCann, 8,500, taking on Priscilla Cachoeira at 7,700. I'm just going to call her Priscilla the rest of the way because I, as you heard, stumbled over that pretty hard. Molly McCann, the favorite, minus 200. Priscilla, plus 170. Priscilla is the one, if you remember, who got destroyed by Valentina Shevchenko. And Mario Yamasaki wanted to let her die or, be a warrior, however you want to look at it. McCann lost to Jillian Robertson last time out. McCann's a good striker. Robertson exposed her ground game. Supposedly McCann's been working on her ground game. I don't think she's going to need it here. Priscilla's just not UFC caliber, just these big, wild shots. McCann is more technical. They're giving her another fight in her home country to try and build her up. I think she's an okay prospect, especially for that 125-pound division that is a little shallow. I think McCann wins this fight pretty comfortably. I think it's a good cash play. I'm not sure about the ceiling. Priscilla is bad. I think that McCann will go a little under-owned for how safe I think she probably is. So I'll have some shares in GPP, but I won't go over the top because it is a little hard to see McCann scoring over 100 points, but she is my preferred play at 8,500. Dan Ige, 8,200, taking on Danny Henry at 8,000. Ige minus 145. The comeback on Henry is plus 125. Danny Henry has exceeded expectations. He's 2-0 in the UFC. He beat Hakeem Dawodu last time out. He scored over 100 points both times. The first fight was against Danny Tamer, where Tamer was beating the crap out of him, and then Tamer gassed. Ige does have some gas tank issues, so that's a little bit of a concern here, but he does have the better grappling. And that we haven't seen Henry tested that way against a grappler. I don't think he's going to be able to stay off his back. I think Ige has a big advantage there. Should score well in a win, get a few takedowns, control, could even get a submission. Like I said, the one worry for me is that if Ige gasses out, Henry can take over in the feet. Henry has shown to be durable. He might be worth a couple shots in GPPs. I think the winner of this fight is going to score well, but I do side with the grappling and wrestling of Dan Ige being able to control Danny Henry. He's the preferred play at 8,200. Tom Breeze, 8,400, taking on Ian Heinisch at 7,800. Tom Breeze, minus 140. Ian Heinisch, plus 120. Heinisch with a wrestling background. Surprised people last time out with the win against Mutanchi Ferreira. Looked pretty good in that fight. Tom Breeze is one of those guys who's underrated, and he's had all these injury issues. I think he's had some anxiety problems. I don't think to the level of Stefan Struve, let's say, but I believe he's had anxiety attacks before. Destroyed Dan Kelly last time out. That was almost a year ago. He's got a loss to Sean Strickland. He was taken down a bunch by Keita Nakamura. So that's where you have to worry is Nakamura had grappling. Heinisch has grappling. I think Nakamura's grappling is better also. Tom Breeze is really big for this weight class. He hits hard. I think they're going to exchange early. I think Breeze's path to victory here is an early knockout. You can play both sides. Another fight like the last one that should score well in GPPs. My pick is Tom Breeze. I think he's got enough counter wrestling to stay up, and he's so big, and I think he's better on the feet. Tom Breeze will be my preferred play at 8,400. All right, moving on. Next fight, we have a name that I really cannot say. Neguramanu, 9,000. He's the favorite over Saparbeg Safarov at 7,200. Nick Neguramanu is minus 175. Safarov to come back plus 155. Look, this is a GPP fight if I've ever seen one. Safarov is wild, throws crazy stuff, moves forward. He does show toughness. Did take down Tyson Pedro twice before he got submitted, but Tyson Pedro has been shown that he's not that good. Really tough against Jean Belante, kept moving forward even though his knee was destroyed. He was getting lit up. Nick Neguramanu is beating up cans. He's 9-0, but he's beating up the canniest of cans. Like 2-14 records, 1-0, 2-1, 20-40, or just, he's faced nobody on the regional scene. But from what I've seen on tape, he does look like a solid fighter. He's throwing guys around. I don't rate Safarov very highly. I do think more people are on Safarov because this line's it is wide for a UFC newcomer who's fought nobody to be this heavy of a favorite, but that should lower his ownership. I think you can play both sides of this fight. I promise I'll stop saying that, but these 3 fights in a row is obviously where I think you can find a little bit of value for GPPs on this card, or take some shots on both sides, I should say. I will say I rate Safarov so low. I think Neguramanu is more explosive. He'll be my pick at 9,000, but play both sides of this fight in GPPs. Joe Duffy, 9,100, taking on Mark Diakese at 7,100. Duffy the favorite, minus 190. Diakese, the comeback on him, plus 165. Diakese back is up against the wall here. He's lost 3 straight fights. Drakkar Klose, Dan Hooker, Nasrat Haqparast. Those are 3 really good fighters. Has a little bit of grappling. He's an English, a European grappler, I should say. Shouldn't pick on the English, which it's a step down from American wrestling, but he has it there. Explosive guy, he's fast. His wins, not over good guys. Guys like Timu Pakalin, Sajewski. But like I said, back up against the wall, and he's facing a guy in Joe Duffy who every time he takes a step up, he gets knocked out. He was finished by James Vick. I also, let's not talk about, Joe Duffy once upon a time beat Conor McGregor. There's no relevance in this fight. That was years and years ago. Joe Duffy also lost Dustin Poirier, but he's taking care of guys he's supposed to beat. Reza Madadi, Mitch Clark. So how's this fight going to go? I don't think that Duffy's going to get a quick finish here. At 9,100, it really takes him out of play when you have for a few more guys like Dominic Reyes and Nathaniel Wood. I have a hard time getting around the price tag at 9,100 for Joe Duffy, whereas Diakese, younger guy, more explosive, some grappling there, awkward style. I'm actually leaning towards picking Casey as well. I think he's live just for that athleticism and with the narrative of his back against the wall. I think this fight plays out on the feet. I think that Casey is going to be able to use his range and speed better. I think he wins a close decision. I'm actually not so sure about his ceiling either. I don't want a ton of this fight in general, but I will pick Casey to win a close decision. Arnold Allen, 8,700, taking on Jordan Rinaldi at 7,500. Arnold Allen, minus 135. Rinaldi, plus 115. We have some odds value here, as the plus 115 Rinaldi is 7,500. Look, Arnold Allen barely survived against Mads Burnell, was getting the crap kicked out of him, was controlled on the ground. Mads Burnell, I can't believe the UFC cut him. Good fighter. I think he'll be back. Arnold Allen, we've seen him in scrambly type of fights. He had that fight against Makwan Amirkhani that he won. He's on a 4-fight win streak in the UFC, and it's a little hard to believe because he's been in some rough spots. Rinaldi has a good ground game. He can control the fight. He struggles against guys who are better grapplers than him. Gregor Gillespie, which there's no shame there, and Abel Trujillo. Trujillo has post-USADA Trujillo, so it's a little worrying. But I think Rinaldi will have enough ground game to control this fight. Another underdog I'm liking here, if you can't tell. Coming off the win against Jason Knight. Jason Knight's dangerous on the ground with rubber guard, but again, he gives up rounds that way. And again, I think that Rinaldi will be able to control and win some of these scrambles. I like the price tag on Rinaldi for a guy I think is going to look to grapple here, so he'll be my preferred play at 7,500. Jack Marshman, 8,800, taking on John Phillips at 7,400. Line on this fight, Marshman still the favorite, minus 155. A comeback on Phillips, plus 135. The does not go to decision props are not out as of when I record this, but this is going to be massive. Phillips, especially as kill or be killed, throws big bombs. Marshman, I guess you can call him a technical brawler. He gets in, mixes it in, stays on the feet. Phillips' weakness is the ground. I don't think I've ever seen Jack Marshman shoot a takedown. They should stand and trade until one man falls. I think Phillips hits harder. GPP fight, and I am heavier on John Phillips at 7,400. Claudio Silva, 8,600, taking on Danny Roberts at 7,600. Silva's the favorite, minus 145. The comeback on Roberts is plus 125. I like Silva in this matchup. Roberts, really good boxing, and that's about it. He can be controlled in the ground. I think in his last fight against David Zawada got robbed. That was the most expensive fighter on the card, was Danny Roberts, and I picked Zawada. Should have got a victory there. A little sour about it still. Other than that, his wins are over like Bobby Nash and Oliver Enkamp. Like Roberts, good striking. I think he's got a problem here, especially because Claudio Silva is one of those guys who's got great BJJ, wings bombs on the feet. We've seen Roberts be KO'd before. He's starting to worry about his chin. I like Silva here in all formats. He's the preferred play at 8,600, winging bombs on the feet, and a much better ground game. Nathaniel Wood, 9,400, taking on Jose Quinones at 6,800. Line on this fight, Wood is minus 320, Quinones plus 260. Like Wood in this one, solid all-around game, good striking, good grappling, looks for finishes. Should be relatively safe. Quinones' best quality is his toughness, has a little bit of hands, but again, I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it, when your best quality is your toughness, I think you have a problem. He is 4-1 in the UFC, but wins over Diego Rivas, Albert Morales, Teruto Ishihara, and those are all by decision. He's not really scoring great. I don't think he's going to be able to get this fight to the ground. I don't think he's outgunned on the feet. Give me Nathaniel Wood as the preferred play at 9,400. Dominic Reyes, 9,300, taking on Volkan Ozdemir at 6,900. Reyes minus 270. Ozdemir plus 230. I think Ozdemir's finally exposed. Everybody seems to know it. Look, he had a few really odd performances with the knockout of Misha Serkinov and Jimmy Manawa, just weird punches that landed for a knockout. Obviously, he has power. Gassed out against Anthony Smith. DC ate his lunch, but no comparison there. Dominic Reyes, up-and-coming star in the 205 division. A little bit of a hype train now. I think everybody's on him. I am still a believer in this matchup. 205 is just a little soft, and I think he's going to get another win here. Again, the worry is because he's a stand-up fighter. He needs that first-round finish to hit salary. I do think he can do it. I also think he's relatively safe because I don't rate Ozdemir very highly. But at 205, and Ozdemir has shown flashes of power, you can't totally count him out. I just think Reyes is the better stand-up fighter, better gas tank, better fight IQ as well. He's just a little green. We'll see what happens, but I can't pick the underdog here. Give me Dominic Reyes at 9,300. Leon Rocky Edwards, 8,300, taking on Gunnar Nelson at 7,900. Edwards the favorite, minus 125. Gunny Nelson, the dog, plus 105. I do like the dog here because I like grappling. The second this fight hits the ground, I think Gunnar Nelson has a pretty big advantage here, or I think we all know he does. The question is, can he get this fight to the ground? He was vicious against Alex Oliveira, by the way. That could have been a TKO, nasty cut with that elbow, and then, sunk in a choke anyway. He's beating guys. He held his own on the ground against Damian Maia, which is just crazy. He lost the fight. Didn't get submitted, but went to test his ground skills. Submitted Alan Jouban. The fights he loses are Santiago Ponzinibbio. He got poked in the eye, and he lost a decision to Rick Story, who's got really good wrestling. I think Edwards has got good wrestling as well. I just think at some point this fight's going to hit the ground. I think Nelson on the feet is not that bad like some grapplers, like a Damian Maia, who's just lost in the feet. I think that Gunny is a little more technical on the feet at least and can hold his own, get this fight to the ground. Edwards is fighting at home. I just like the skill set here of Gunnar Nelson. It's also worth noting that for DraftKings, while it is a close fight and I am picking Gunnar Nelson, even in his wins, Leon Edwards does not score well against good competition. He did have a knockout over Peter Sabata where he scored well, but 72-point win against Cowboy Cerrone, 72 points against Brian Barberena, 75 points against Vicente Luque, 86 points against Tumanov. That wouldn't be terrible. I don't think Edwards will score well even in a win, so all the upside on DraftKings is with Gunnar Nelson. He's the preferred play at 7,900, and I am picking him to win the fight. Darren Till, 9,200. Masvidal, 7,000. Main event time. Till, minus 260. Masvidal, plus 220. I do think this line is a little wide, but Masvidal has been around a long time. I've seen a lot of people on Masvidal, and I'm going to go the other way here. Both these guys lost to Stephen Thompson. Masvidal, I don't think he's going to look for a takedown here. I mean, he did take down Ross Pearson, who's a heavy striker. Till's obviously a striker, who was, handled by Woodley. I don't think Masvidal will be able to get him down. Not that Till has improved that much as a striker. He's just so much bigger. I think Masvidal, better technical striker. Till's going to press forward. I think the pressure and size is really going to be what separates him in this fight. I think it's closer to the line, but because everyone is on Masvidal, I'm going to have a little more Till in GPPs because I think he could get an early finish. I think he'll be aggressive. He has a good style for DraftKings when he's not getting smashed by Tyron Woodley or in one of those fights with Wonderboy Thompson that just a Wonderboy fight's a Wonderboy fight. So give me Till in a close fight. Line's too wide, and I'm on Till for the low ownership I'm expecting as compared to fighters in a main event. So that's what I have for the UFC London slate breakdown. Again, guys, I do appreciate all the support. Please subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube. Give me a thumbs up on the YouTube video. Comment, ask any questions. Hit me on Twitter with any questions. Love talking fights with all of you guys. And one last reminder, DFS Army. To get a DFS Army t-shirt, I want more people in this to win. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Be entered to win a free t-shirt. Free stuff is always good, guys. Good luck in your contest. We'll see you next time. Enjoy UFC London.